Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first episode of the Rebrand and Rebuilding community. My name is 𝙁𝙖𝙘𝙚𝙗𝙩. You can call me Stacey K for short. I wanted to speak to you guys today about my passion for helping other people rebrand and rebuild their lives after divorce, disaster, homelessness, and tragedy. First and foremost, I've been homeless. I'm recently divorced, and I was separated from my ex-husband now during the pandemic last year. So during that journey of mine, being separated, during that time, I found myself penniless and homeless. I found myself living outside of my aunt's house in my Dodge Grand Caravan. During that time on my journey, I met so many other people in similar situations or in worse situations than mine. The perspective that I had on life at that time was, why me? I tried to do everything right to make my marriage, my relationship work, and it didn't. So my perspective, I was a victim at that time. That's all I could only see, all the wrong that had happened to me. So when I met, people on my journey that were in worse situations than I was, that kind of, gave me a little hope, like, I needed to stop complaining. I'm not saying that hoping as I was better than them, but in a sense of it was time for me to stop complaining and accepting I am where I am, and decisions that I made led me to that point. Yes, other people played roles because I was married. Of course, I had a husband. He played a part in the divorce as well, and things transpired against us that led me to being separated and homeless. I actually have a book coming out, and it's called The Rebrand and Rebuilding System. I'm going to speak about it briefly on here with you guys, but it's coming out, and it basically gives a short story, just a little snippet around my life and the system that I created to not only help myself, but to help so many other people. My passion for this sprouted out from me helping myself. I knew that if I could help myself, that I could help so many other people. At that time on that journey, I did not realize that, long after this, I would eventually turn it into a system that would eventually become a book. And then from there, now it's a podcast. So that little seed that I planted, a year and a half ago during that time of need, during me being, separated, now I'm divorced and being homeless, sleeping in my Dodge Grand Caravan, I planted that seed, and I did not know that a year and a half from then that it would turn into, like I said, a book, and now this podcast. My passion to help you guys, it came from that. And if I can tell my story, shine a light on my story, so you guys can come forward and shine a light on your story, because no one can tell your story better than you. So eventually I would love to be able to get people on here that I could interview, and you can tell your story. You can shine a light on the process that you went through, the transition that you had to do this. Like I said, I didn't even know that those steps was going to be eventually turned into a system that turned into a book and now a podcast. You may have a story that could help you in a similar way, or in some way that could help you get yourself off the ground, to get your story out there to the world. I want this community to be a place where we can all come, express ourselves, and not be ashamed of where we came from, not be ashamed of how we grew up, not be ashamed of the current situations that we find ourselves in today. Like I said, divorce, disaster, being homeless, having tragedy, having a sickness, losing your job, your car, your house. This community is for you to express yourself. I would love it if you guys could comment down below to, just let me know what process did you take to help transition yourself from being homeless to having stability. What steps did you take? Did someone help you? Did you have a helping hand? Did you do it all by yourself? Did you listen to different podcasts? Did you watch YouTube videos. I watched tons of YouTube videos. I prayed. I've done so many things to overcome homelessness. Like I said, now that it's implemented into a system, the rebrand and the rebuilding system. Now I'm here with you guys today on this podcast, the rebrand and the rebuilding podcast. And I'm here with you guys today to say that if I could do it, you can do it. There's no reason to feel stuck. There's no reason to allow yourself to doubt yourself in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, this community is here to embrace everyone out there from any nationality, anybody out there from that have any different type of religious or background or have different religious views. This community is here for you. This community is here for you no matter what your sexuality is. I'm not here to judge myself and this community. I'm hoping and I'm praying that no one in this community would speak about anyone else's situation that I interview in a negative light. You should only be speaking of anyone that I interview or myself and the stories that I tell in a positive light, or as motivation or inspiration to help yourself and anyone around you thrive and grow in life. You can also introduce your mother, your your father, your friends, relatives, cousins, anybody to my podcast. It's not just my podcast, our podcast, to the rebrand and rebuilding community. This community is here for all of us to embrace ourselves, embrace our differences, because a lot of times in our differences, my differences, and my situation, and the steps that I've took in this system that helped me, that I implement into my daily life, could also be implemented into your daily life, just like someone else's differences and situations and circumstances, however you want to say it, whatever you want to call it, taking, someone else's life story to help yourself, to guide you, to motivate you, to lead you to higher, to better, to, especially when it's positive and, when you're shining a light around people and myself and our situations that we speak of, the people that I interview. It's okay to, use us for motivation and for inspiration, but I would ask for you not to speak on myself or anyone negatively. And if you have any negative opinion, you can just unsubscribe. There's so many wonderful podcasts out there that people, that talk about, similar topics or situations. People that they have business podcasts, cooking podcasts, whatever floats your boat. You don't have to be subscribed to this podcast if you don't feel that, if you feel like you want to throw your opinion out there for everybody to listen to, and you feel like, your opinion could help their situation. If they don't want to take it, it's not your place to judge them or to condemn them in any way. That's not our job. We're going to leave that to the higher power. We're not going to get into religious views on here, because this podcast is for, like I said, everyone from different nationalities, different religious backgrounds, and have religious point of views on life. I don't mind you come and stay in and giving. Like I said, you have to tell your story, to the world, and maybe your story will inspire and motivate people. You can give your opinions, and like I said, the steps, the procedures, the process, whatever system that you implement into your life or that help you come out of divorce, disaster, being homeless, or tragedy. Things like that happen to all of us. So this is a community for everybody. I just want everyone to get along in this community. I want us to come together, like I said in the previous first episode on the rebrand and rebuilding community, I wanted everyone to come together and network. You never know who knows who and who could help who in whatever type of way, as long as it's positive and something that you're trying to help that person grow. If you have a business, if you have your system, you can kind of advertise on here as well. This is the podcast for that. Shine a light on your story, on the things that you do, your accomplishments, things that, help better your life. This podcast, this community is for that. So please subscribe and comment down below. Let me know your steps, the procedures, your system that you have in place for getting, transitioning yourself from, divorce, disaster, tragedy. Things happen in life. Like I said previously, we lose our houses, our jobs, and we find ourselves homeless or in situations that we just, find ourselves in. It's okay. Don't be ashamed. Introduce yourself, comment, subscribe. I'm on every podcast platform out there, for iPhone and Android. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I will see you next week for episode 2.